Maseches Soita, Daf Lamed Hey. The Gemara discusses the chet of the Meraglim, and the Gemara says that Dov Godol Dibro Meraglim Ki Chazakum Imenu Kaviyochol Afilu Balabayis and Yochol Lahoitzi Kalev Misham. Ein Chavetz Chaim in Sefer Shmiras Haloshen. On Parashas Shlach, there has a tremendous arichis to discuss the chet of the Meraglim, and how could it be that the Meraglim were from the greatest of the Shevet came to such a tremendous Aveira. And he says, when you misboin in the Parashah of the Meraglim, you see that they fell to an Nesoy, and the Be'emes, many of us have assimilate Zahira, and we have to analyze the chet of the Meraglim to learn from their tremendous musar. And he says that Be'emes, the Yetzer Hara comes to a person from all angles, and many times the Yetzer Hara comes to us and tells us to have a machshava of gaiva. And on the other hand, sometimes the Yetzer Hara, when he sees he's not being successful to be machshalos, but in here gaiva, he tries the other way with here of anova, that we're not worthy. And the Chavetz Chaim explains with a tremendous arichis, and he says that in the Kuda and that the Meraglim fell was the Be'emes, they understood, and they were maimed by Kadosh Baruch Hu, and the Kadosh Baruch Hu was maftiach, they would be able to go to Eretz Yisrael. But they fell to the Yetzer Hara of Anova, and they realized that since Klal Yisrael just fell to the Egel and Basataiva, so therefore they're not worthy for tremendous miracles that Hashem was maftiach them to bring them into Eretz Yisrael and to conquer these great nations that are in Eretz Yisrael. And the tactic of the Yetzer Hara against the Meraglim was the machshov of Anova, and the Chavetz Chaim says we have to learn from this a tremendous musar, that sometimes the Yetzer Hara comes to us and says that we're not worthy to sit and learn on a high level, and it's only for people that are totally engrossed in learning. Moving further on, the Gemara says that the pasuk says Tisukol Eido v'yitnu koilam v'yifku, and the Gemara says that night was the night of Tisha B'av, and the Kadosh Baruch Hu says At b'chisem b'chir shel chinam v'ani ekvel lechem b'chir l'deiros. Ein Biskurov in stencils that declares what's the understanding in this Gemara, that since they cried the Bechir Shel Chinam, so therefore, and the Ekvelechem Bechir L'Doyers is the Pshat, that the Chet of the Meraglim is Gufu cause the Churban Abayis independently, or be decided there's other various that cause the Churban Abayis, and the understanding of this Gemara is why specifically the Churban Abayis was on Tisha B'av is because of the Chet of Meraglim. Ein Tziv in Hamakdover that explains what's the connection of the Chet of Meraglim to the Churban Abayis, and he explains that before the Chet of the Meraglim, Be'emes, the Kiddushem Shemayim, and the whole world would be niskayim through the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash, through the avodah derech nisi in the Beis Hamikdash would come a kiddush and kvod shemayim in the entire world. But since Klal Yisrael fell to the Chet Meraglim and they fell to the derech hateva, therefore the way that would be niskadish kvod shemayim in all of the world would be specifically by the fact that Klal Yisrael was nespazer between the Ummah Ha'olam, and the Kvod Shemayim would come through the fact that Klal Yisrael is nespazer b'nei Hagoyim, v'ayin Shom, and Matzio Salomon Shlita Shavu Fushleim said this over many times. And he says, you see from here, tremendous limud, how careful we have to be when we are in Golus throughout the Goyim, that we have to make Kaddish, Shem Shemayim, V'Goyim, V'ayin Shom. Moving further on, the Gemara says, the Uzo is going to come to Elam Habo, and Mashah asked, according to Tzad, the Gemara, the Uzo was nichshel in the fact that he held the Orin. What's the Hava mean? They should lose the Elam Haba because he held on to the Orin. So I saw two Mahalchim in the Rosh Hashivas, the answer is Kasha. I'm the sure from Michael Feinstein. The answer is Kasha, that the Chiddush is that even Mitzad, his Maisa, that he held on to the Orin since he had Machshava L'Toiv, although he wasn't supposed to hold on to the Orin, the fact that he had machshava l'toiv in holding on to the Aruin, and that itself he'll get Olam Haba for, and that's the Chiddush Gemara. Not that he'll get Olam Haba, but the Chiddush is that he'll get Olam Haba for that mice itself that he was nichshal. And the Sefer Avodas David that says a different teretz to answer the Mashal's kasha according to tremendous yisoid that's mavur in Droshes Haran. That the Droshes Haran asks what's the understanding, and that Uzzah was mechuyev miso for holding on to the Aruin. It's not an achet the yesh b'chai v'mises, and he has a tremendous arichas in the fact that it's mavur. The kol oiver al divrei chacham chayiv misa, which is tzorchi, and why is it that someone's oiver and divrei chacham is chayiv misa? Why is divrei chacham more cham than divrei Torah? And the Joshua Zeran says a tremendous yisoid that all the averis in the Torah, if someone's nichshal, he gets malchus or miso, they're also chatoyim that come machmas the Yetzirah, and over there was nemar Oinshim of Malchus, Oinshim of Misa. However, if someone is over an Aveir because he's Mavaza and he doesn't take seriously the Torah, that one's Nichshal and any Chelik of the Torah is Mavaza, the entire Torah, and therefore, Kol Oiva Divrei Chacham Chayiv Misa, because he's not taking the words of Chazal seriously, and it's a bezoin to the Torah. He says that's understanding in the Ma'is of Uzzah as well. And according to this, Avodas David says that since there was a higher level in the way to the Chet of Uzzah because of Bezoyin HaTorah, so therefore there's a Havamim, they'll lose Elam Haba as well for Ayin Sham. Moving further on, the Gemara says that the Torah was written, according to Yehuda, on Avonim, and they were sewed besid on top of Kol Torah. And Mavur was a Taina on Umas Olam, that they didn't learn Torah, because since it was written, Tosis asks that why is it that was Nachtam Gezartin on Umas Olam, because they didn't learn Torah. It's Mavur in the Gemara and Avodas Zarah that they have a Pischin Peh that they could tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu klum kfisa lanu har kegigis, and it's a steer to what the Gemara is saying over here. There was a taina on the Umas Olam that they didn't learn Torah since the Torah was written on the Avonim by Har Evil. Therefore, there was a taina on them that they didn't learn. And the Beskov stencils that brings from the Sefer Ma'asechia that said over teretz to the Beskov, and Beskov said that he also learned like this, that the answer to Tosis kasha is that's mvur and I was suga, that there's a taina on the Umas Olam that didn't learn Torah. It's not the pshat they didn't accept Kol Torah Kula, rather that they weren't mekayim the Shiva Mitzvahs Bnei Noach, that since they should have learned from the fact that was written on Har Evil, there was a taina on them, they weren't mekayim the Shiva Mitzvahs Bnei Noach, but not Kol Torah Kula. Kvegen Chuvas discusses a shayla if you have Shem Hashem that's written and you cover them over with wax or the like, is that considered mechika of a Shem Hashem? And Kvegen brings a raya from our sugya with that when you cover Shemis with wax, it's not considered mechikas Hashem, and he brings it more like that in Chuvas Panamiris and Milstaka as well, because over here it's Mavur, the Klal Yisrael covered over Kol Torah Kula with Sid, and why isn't it considered that they were moichik the shemus that were written on the Avonim? So the answer is that since they could take off the Sid and you could still read the shemus that underneath the Sid, that's not considered mechika. And the Kvega brings a raya because it's mavur that although you can't use the Sefer Torah if the shemus are covered with wax. Nevertheless, if you take off the wax, it's kosher. And Kvega asks, when you take off the wax, that's not considered a ksiva of the shemus. So why is the Sefer Torah kosher after you take off the wax? So Kvega says it must be that even before you took off the wax, it's considered ksuvim, and it has a din like it's ksav kosher, and it doesn't have a haloch as if you were moichik the shem. And Kvega brings from the Sefer Levios Chain ala Torah and Parashat Kesavoy. That also brings a raya that it's mutter from our sugya. He says you could be madche according to its mavur. in the Marshal that the Torah was written were on Shalmos and not Lashon Kodesh, and since the Torah wasn't written Lashon Kodesh, so therefore it's mavur in the Shach that there's no Issa Mechika of the shame and Shar L'Shoynes, so therefore there's no Raif on Sugya, the B'chai Gavlan's mutter, and it's not considered Mechika as a shame. And Kvig brings further that's mavur in the Shuvas Milstaka that it could be specifically over here. It's not considered Mechika as a shame because it was just engraved in the Avonim, and it's not like if you have a shame that's written in ink on the side of the base medrash that creates more chomer, and the Milstaka says another svar that over here, since it was mitzvah bekach, and Hashem said specifically for them to write the Torah and cover besid, therefore you're keeping a raya from over here, it's mitzvah bekach. And the Kveiger discusses further in the Sefer Beis Hillel. It's a different kasha now as sugya that since you covered over the shemus with sids, so therefore the sid has a chashivas like it's part of the Shem Hashem, and when you take off the sid, it's as if you moichik the Shem by taking off the sid. That's a chelik of the Shem Hashem. However, Kveiger argues and Kveiger says that's not shver b'chlal because specifically when if you cover over the Shem Hashem with a coloring of gold coloring, so that is part of the Shem Hashem. When you take it off, it's Moichik Hashem. Hashem over here, the Sid was covered on the whole area, not specifically on the Shemus. So therefore, when you take off the Sid, it's not considered Mechika B'chlal Ba'ayin Shamoit.